RPG 그대로의 RPG 불멸의 전사 2.
Like Zest is bringing in a new age of like he is better than everyone else. Even TY, like TY had some cool builds here and there. He played really well, but Zest was still, I feel like watching those finals like the better player overall.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't feel bad about losing to Zest. I feel like Deer is still definitely the favorite against MyuNgSiK, even though it still is a PvP. But MyuNgSiK, I mean, he has 4 recent games of the ways that Zest slowly pulled his body apart, right? So he has a lot to study here.
Yeah, for sure. As you said, MyuNgSiK does have a lot of data to work with, a lot of VODs to study, and maybe the way that Zest completely pulled apart Dia, as you said, maybe the SKT staff, the SKT coaches have figured out a way for MyuNgSiK to take this game here. And it is on Lurelak Crest, so 4-player map, anything can happen.
Yeah, kind of a wonky one. You know, you got some rocks, pretty big natural ramp. We've seen aggressive builds on this map before. Stats just totally outplaying Patience when Patience tried to go for an aggressive build on this map. This is going to be an interesting one. I definitely agree that the SKT coaches have watched all the games that Deer has played in PvP, because he did go 0-4 against Zest, but he also 2-0'd Hero recently in Pro League, so that's even more games, right, for them to study, you know, how did he win and how did he lose and how can we take advantage of that. So let's take a look at the predictions here.
Oh, actually everyone's going for Deer here, so no one really having much faith in MyuNgSiK.
Yeah, I mean, MyuNgSiK, he hasn't really come out that often. He's 0-2. It's really hard to get behind someone like that, even though we know he's got the skill and the potential to pick it up. Deer is on another level these days. So let's see what's going to happen here. Game number 2, Deer versus MyuNgSiK. Up here in the bottom left, in the blue from Samsung Galaxy Con, it is Deer.
And spawning here at the bottom left as the orange Protoss for SK Telecom T1, it is MyuNgSiK.
Known by a lot of foreign fans as MyuNgSiK.
Or Shik City.
Yeah, Shik City. That works too.
And we have vertical spawns here on Lurelak Crest, so obviously we'll be seeing these players most likely expand towards the east side of the map. And recently we've seen a lot of players actually not going for disruptor play, favoring the Zealot Immortal play that we're accustomed to in Heart of the Swarm, because I forgot who was... No, it was actually Classic against Zest. We saw no disruptor play at all. Zest was trying to do a Phoenix play. Classic got the early third base and punished Zest appropriately for not adapting in time. So we'll see how this plays out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you definitely see a lot of Phoenix play too. We've been seeing that a lot nowadays. Even Zest working that into his repertoire of builds. And yeah, I felt that way when I saw the Disruptor being used in a different matchup, which is PVT, where it's like when you face some of these Korean Terrans, they just out-micro the Disruptor. You can never hit them. If they're good enough, if they're fast enough, unless they make a big mistake, they are going to out-micro you. So I feel like also as the player's skill gets better, they can just work around the Disruptors. Obviously, it gets pretty crazy when it's Disruptor versus Disruptor, but yeah, it doesn't really surprise me too much that they've kind of leaned away from that nowadays.
Yeah. I just remembered that Dia played against, I believe it was Seed on this map last week. And we saw Disruptor play there from both players, but as you mentioned before, players are getting so accustomed to controlling their armies against Disruptor play that, you know, it's not really you want to go Disruptors anymore because of how good these players' control is against the Purification Novas that they cast.
And, well, I was about to say, look at this. He's going for a faster Stargate. We're seeing a lot of Phoenix play. He wants to get ahead, but he changes that up into a Twilight Council. Perhaps after getting into the base of Deer and noticing that I don't know, just a pretty standard 2-gate play. Maybe he saw that he was going to go for an early expand with no tech in the base. And Deer letting him get that scout definitely changes the response here from MyuNgSiK.
And there is that proxy pylon there at the third base of Deer's rocks. And you saw on the mini-map that Deer's mothership core was actually floating towards the east side. And yeah, Dark Shrine, no surprises here from MyuNgSiK, especially with that proxy pylon. Obviously, he wants to get those Dark Templars warped in as quickly as possible, as close as possible to Deer. And Deer's actually going for a Twilight Council of his own. He's not going for the Stargate. He's not going for the robotics. This might actually hurt.
Yeah, I took a look there to see if that probe, like, exactly how far the vision went, and I think he could tell that there was no expand. Not 100% sure, but I guess we'll find out by his response here. He's going for Blink and a fast robotics facility. He is going to be safe as long as he makes some observers here. The Dark Shrine is almost about to finish up, but so is the robotics. It's going to be a very quick timing here, a very small window for MyuNgSiK to take advantage of this.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be that the robotics facility of Deer is actually going to pop up and the observer's going to come out before the Dark Templars can actually do any serious damage. And oh, it's actually going to warp in a couple of depths here to try and...
he's got a bigger army and there's
damage.
no pylon over here.
Yeah, there's no pylon here for the overcharge, and I think Deer got caught with his pants down.
Yeah, just a little bit. He's definitely going to take some damage here. Does have that Nexus up. I'm not sure how far MyuNgSiK can go in. The Adepts are going to warp in here, and he tries to focus down that pylon, but he's going to take a ton of damage at the same time.
Yeah, the pylon is the short. Oh, but the observer actually gets out before the robotics is unpowered, and that is so unfortunate for MyuNgSiK. I mean, if that observer did not come out, I think that would have been game for Deer, because without that observer...
He could never make another pylon. He could put one DT on pylon duty, and the other DT kills the entire economy of Deer. That was so quick. That's exactly what I was talking about, that tiny window for MyuNgSiK to try to focus down that pylon.
Notice how Deer using that Stalker there to block the Dark Templar from getting to the base. And you can see MyuNgSiK's face right now. It's just full of like agony and disappointment. He knows that his gambit card, so to say, has failed right now.
It definitely has, very hard, and I feel like all Deer has to do is wait for Blink to finish up, make a couple of extra observers to be safe, and he could just walk across the map and kill MyuNgSiK by this point. Look at the supply is up more than 20.
Yeah, this is just a matter of time before MyuNgSiK taps out, unless Deer moves his army across to MyuNgSiK and just completely leaves his hands off the keyboard.
Yeah, like forgets his observer or something, and the DT kills everything.
But I'm pretty sure Deer is a consummate professional, and he'll finish this game in the next couple of minutes.
Now let's see how this attack goes down. We do have one overcharge available. He's going to use that immediate blink, kills the mothership core, and this is kind of the follow-up. This is exactly what we expected.
Yeah,
Deer winning this game, bringing Samsung to 2-0 very quickly against SK Telecom.
And that game is a prime example of how Starcraft is a game of milliseconds. If that pylon was killed before that observer came out for Deer, that game would have been completely flipped 180 in the favor of MyuNgSiK, but the observer did come out in the nick of time, and unfortunately for MyuNgSiK, his Dark Templars got killed, and Deer managed to take that game.
Yeah, just such a tiny little window there for MyuNgSiK to try to go up, and he didn't waste too much time either, right? Like, he just walked right up the ramp. He knew what his objective was, but it was just that tiny millisecond too late, as you were saying, and now SKT are on the ropes against Samsung Galaxy Con. I feel like they're favored in one of their matchups, the third game we got coming here against Solar, but in that fourth one, Bravo versus Impact, I feel like a lot of us did go for Bravo tonight.
Yeah, Bravo did beat Bjol on King Sejong Station a couple of weeks ago, so that is obviously a factor in why we decided to pick Bravo, but we haven't really seen much of Impact because he is one of those lower players on the SK Telecom T1 internal ranking, so...
I think Impact's paid maybe like 2 or 3 games, and the fact that he even comes out here kind of says like, hey, they're comfortable at second place, they can't get first place, so maybe they want to give some of their newer players, their less played players, some experience in the booth, and that may pay off for Samsung tonight. But guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.